the official second month of the summer, and the box office for June this year was actually pretty good. Some records were broken, although there were some films that did disappoint. The first of which is The Internship. The Internship had a budget of $58 million and it released on June 7th of 2013. It made $40 million domestically and only $9 million from foreign territories. I don't think it's going to make its budget back, and for comedies, really, the box office gross, it can either be really good or really bad, and this is of course the latter. Also out on June 7th, you had The Purge, a horror film made on a budget of just $3 million, made $61 million from the US alone, $8 million from foreign territories. This weekend was not such a great weekend in terms of movies doing well in foreign territories. Perhaps The Hangover and Fast and the Furious were really taking over at the time. On that weekend, you also had Joss Whedon's Much Ado About Nothing, which was made on a budget of about nothing, and for a film that was in a limited release, it ended up doing pretty well. It was released in about 5 theaters, and it made $1.596 million. That's pretty good for a limited release film. June 14th, you had the monster of June, Man of Steel. It broke the opening weekend record for June, with $116 million, beating Toy Story 3's earlier $108 million. It had a budget of $225 million. In the US alone, it's already made $227 in the past 2 weeks. In foreign territories, it's made $188 million. It opened at #1 in China, and there's a lot more to go. I say it could close out at $700 million plus, and I didn't personally like the film if you've seen my review, but I was always expecting this to do pretty well at the box office. You also had the R-rated comedy This Is the End, which had a budget of $32 million, and it made $65 million from the US alone in the past 2 weeks. There's no foreign territory gross that's been accumulated yet. Perhaps it has to release in foreign territories. That tends to happen sometimes with certain films, but it's good. I mean, it has the potential to reach $150 million, and I haven't seen the film yet, but you never know. There may be a sequel depending on, of course, how the film ends. You also had the limited release film The Bling Ring, which came out that weekend, which made $3.5 million in the US and about $1.5 million in foreign territories. For a limited release film, it did pretty well. I haven't seen it yet. If I do, I'll be sure to review it. Also in limited release, Before Midnight got its slightly wider release on June 14th. It's currently made $8 million worldwide. June 21st was a massive weekend, including Monsters University, which opened to #1 with $82 million on the opening weekend. It's currently made $125 million in domestic territories, 54 in foreign territories. I suspect this could close around $600, $650, $700 million, maybe even $800 if it's lucky. And another film that came out that weekend with a speculated budget of near $400 million, but it's actually about $190 million, World War Z. It opened to $66 million on the opening weekend, falling $16 million short of Monsters University. It currently has $139 worldwide, and it's only been about a week, so I suspect that it has a long way to go. 2 more movies coming out on June 28th. It's a pretty jam-packed summer. The first is The Heat. The Heat opened to $13.6 million on Friday alone, and I suspect it could get around $40 million on the opening weekend. And you also had White House Down, which opened to $9 million on Friday, and could get between $20 million and $30 million over the 3-day weekend. So June was a pretty solid month at the box office. I don't think it was as good as May, but it was still a great month nonetheless. There's so much coming out in July, including Despicable Me 2, The Lone Ranger, Pacific Rim, Turbo, R.I.P.D., and The Wolverine. So there's a lot more to look forward to, at least in terms of the box office. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Follow me on Twitter and like me on Facebook, and expect more.